What up? Today we're gonna be talking about power, all right? So I know it say peace, right? But you gotta understand, peace is power. You know what I'm saying? So everything has a duality. Peace operates on a frequency of 600. 600, all right? So check it. The dualities of peace. So the first type of peace we have is this right here. Meditation, prayer, stillness. Meditation, prayer, stillness. Now, meditating, that's when you go into a meditative state. You sitting in stillness, you get rid of all those thoughts. That is a form of peace. All right? Prayer. That's when you ask and you shall receive. You go into your secret place, right? So that's when you're in your secret place, you are in prayer. It's just like meditation. So, boom, stillness. You can be anywhere with stillness. You can sit on your bed, sit at the table, just be sitting down. But you don't want to be occupied in your mind with things. You want your mind, body, and your spirit to all be in a stillness, like water. You know what I'm saying? So that's stillness. This is one form of peace. When you are in these right here, you operate at a high frequency of 600. All right. So check it. This is the duality. This is the duality of peace. So this is one side of peace, right? Now this is the other side of peace. We got structure and flow. See right there? Structure versus flow, but it's really structure and flow. That is the peace state. That is the 600 frequency right there. So this is how you go about that. Understand that structure is a masculine energy. Flow, that's a feminine energy. All right, so look, check this out. I got a chart right here, right? So we got masculine energy and we got feminine energy. Masculine energy, facts, logic. Feminine energy, opinions, emotions. But we're not looking at all this right now. We're just operating off of masculine and feminine energy. So that's structure and flow. All right? So let's get back to it. So boom. Structure, masculine, flow, feminine. All right, so what's the structure? That's the plans. You put forth any type of plans, write the vision, make it plain, right? Any type of plans you want to put together. That is the structure. Now, to get to the flow state of that structure, you have to go through aligned actions. You apply aligned actions of the plans you made, the structure, the masculine structure that you put together, you align those actions, and then when you get into a flow state, right? So now you're in the flow state of doing it, of doing those actions, you in the flow. Boom, you going. You pick up a momentum. This is where this comes from, momentum. Now, when you stay in that flow, now you are getting, now the goals, now you are succeeding at your goals because you're in the flow, in the momentum state. Now, this is what happens when we're in the flow and momentum state. At times, you might be in a momentum state and you might hit a wall of confusion. That's what we're going to call that. Let's write it down. Let's write it down. So, just so I want to make sure y'all understand. So, understand. Give me a second. Versus confusion. We talk about this at times, but I ain't got my chart, so I'm just going to show it like that. So, look. Understanding versus confusion. My bad. About to see. But anyways, it's there. So, check it. While you in your momentum state, in your flow state, you might hit a wall of confusion. This is where you want to stop. You want to stop right there. You do not want to operate off confusion. Things go bad when we operate off confusion. So boom, what do? We wait while we're in the confusion. We want to wait till we find understanding. Now, how do you find understanding? You have to do some research. You got to figure out what's confusing you. Research make the leech hurt. Those are the vampires that's trying to keep you confused. You know what I'm saying? So once you find understanding, once you find that understanding, guess what you do now? Now that you found understanding, you can get back, you can restructure if you restructure. You know what I'm saying? You don't just jump back into a flow state in momentum. You have to restructure because you have found new understanding to restructure the plan, come with new aligned actions. It might not even be a lot of restructuring. It might just be a tiny bit of restructuring, but you got new aligned actions to get back into your flow state, right? So now you back in the flow state. Now you flowing. You're not letting no distractions come in. So look. Check it. You want to remember this. So we got focus versus distractions. All right. So check it. Focus versus distractions. All right. So when you in your flow state, it's going to be things coming to distract you. You do not want to operate. You do not want to be distracted. You want to stay in the focus, the tunnel vision focus, right? So as long as you stay in tunnel vision focus, your flow state turns into momentum, and the ball keep rolling. The ball keep rolling. The ball keep rolling. You won't stagnate because you're in that flow. You don't want to stagnate. You know what I'm saying? Unless you have to go back into a stillness. See, so when we find ourselves in confusion, that's when we go into stillness, right? I left that part out. I apologize. So that's when we go into stillness, when we are in confusion. Now, while you're in that stillness, that's when you find your understanding. That's when you go from understanding to restructuring the flow, aligned actions. Well, restructure aligned actions down to the flow, back to momentum. And you just stay in that momentum until you reach another brick wall of what? Confusion. And once you hit confusion, you go back into stillness. Then you go back into understanding. Once you done figured out the confusion, then you restructure again, aligned actions again, flow state again, momentum again. Focus versus distractions. You don't let yourself get distracted by outside external sources. Because see what's going on is once you're in that momentum, that's when infinite intelligence kick in and just start. The ideas, creativity start to, imagination, creativity, everything starts to flowing in. And you don't have to worry about believing because you put the structure down and you aligned those actions. You believed in your structure because you guess what you did? You did the research. You made sure that the structure was going to work. Now look, if you put forth some kind of structure and your structure was based on confusion, that is not a good structure. Your structure has to be based on understanding. Remember that. The structure has to be based on understanding. So when the structure based on understanding, it's a good structure. That's a good plan right there. Aligned actions, flow, momentum, focus. Now, remember, if you reach confusion, go into stillness, prayer, meditation if you got to. In your confusion, once you get the answers, now you understand and flow again. Now I keep showing y'all this. I keep going. I keep circling and circling and circling so it can really stick. You know what I'm saying? And when you're doing all this, you operate at a frequency of 600 in the peace state. It's going to get done. I don't care if it's a small plan. I don't care if it's a big plan. It's going to get done because those are the laws of nature, the laws of God, the laws of frequencies and vibrations. I show you.